Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel. 3 Possible ways Kyle could react to the break. On The Young and the Restless, it looks like Kyle, Michael Miller, is going to spiral out of control now that Claire, Hayley Erin, has broken up with him. He probably will find an unhealthy way to care for his broken heart. He doesn't have the best track record in relationships, and as we've seen in the past, he usually acts impulsively after a breakup. Therefore, it appears that he may be returning to that path. Here are 3 possible ways Kyle might react to Claire's shocking decision to end their relationship. He may fall back into bed with Audra on The Young and the Restless. Will Kyle once more gravitate toward Audra on The Young and the Restless? A few years ago, Kyle had an affair with Audra, Zuleika Silva. He was enraged that his wife Summer, Alison Lanny, had kept Phyllis, Michelle Stafford, her mother, from him. He left Summer, told her the marriage was over, and got into a bed with Audra. Fans of Young and the Restless are anticipating that Kyle and Audra will have another relationship now that he is hurt and vulnerable. He and Audra sure have been generating sparks galore with all their heated arguments over the past several weeks. Will he do as he always does and go back to her for comfort sex? He could fly to Los Angeles to disrupt Holden and Claire's plans. Kyle doesn't trust Holden on The Young and the Restless image, CBS. Holden, played by Nathan Owens, is untrustworthy to Kyle, and he doesn't want to be near Claire. So maybe he will pull an Adam and make a spur-of-the-moment decision to fly to Los Angeles in an effort to protect Claire, the same way Adam, Mark Grossman, made a spontaneous trip to France to warn his family that Kane, Billy Flynn, was buying real estate in Genoa City. However, Adam made a wise move that strengthened his family's support and loyalty. If Kyle flies to LA, it would be a counterproductive move, since it would only push Claire further away. After all, she did tell him she wants to be on her own for a while and be her own person. By interfering with her trip and her friendship with Holden, he would be disrespecting her wishes and entering into her personal space. But since Kyle acts without thinking sometimes, it's possible he may make a desperate and reckless move like that one. Therapy could help him grow as a person. Kyle would receive support from Jack and Diane if he went to therapy, according to The Young and the Restless. It would be wonderful if Kyle catches us off guard and decides that he needs to figure out who he is, like Claire wants to figure out who she is. However, perhaps he could accomplish that objective by attending therapy rather than traveling. It might help him see the big picture. He could gain a better understanding of why he's had so many failed relationships and marriages at his young age. Therapy would give him an opportunity to take a breath after the breakup with Claire and do some self-reflection and soul-searching. Instead of obsessing over Claire, he could focus on self-care through his therapy sessions and learn how to make better decisions for himself in his future romantic relationships. If he decides to go to therapy, his parents, Jack, Peter Bergman, and Diane, Susan Walters, will undoubtedly support him. They simply want their son to grow and heal in a healthy way, so they would be his most ardent supporters. Jack and Diane would be all for it if it meant that he would have to confront some difficult truths about himself. This would be an unexpected turn of events for Kyle, something he's never been courageous enough to pursue in the past, and a great opportunity for his portrayal, Michael Miller, to show off his ample acting chops. Kyle's heartbreak after Claire's breakup. On The Young and the Restless, few characters wear their emotions on their sleeve as much as Kyle Abbott. When he loves hard. When he feels betrayed, his temper ignites quickly, and when he's left behind, his actions often become impulsive and reckless. Kyle is at yet another emotional crossroads now that Claire Newman has ended their relationship. A young man who has struggled with identity, loyalty, and family expectations for the majority of his adult life is forced to confront his patterns once more as a result of this breakup, not just a relationship ending. Kyle's inability to fully comprehend who he is outside of a romance is a contributing factor in Claire's decision to leave him. That's what makes this storyline so powerful. The writers have left him dangling with multiple possible paths forward, each one with its own ripple effects for his family, for Claire, and for Genoa City itself. To really appreciate what's at stake, one must look at the 3 most likely directions Kyle's story could go. Will he fall back into a dangerous but intoxicating relationship with Audra Charles, the schemer who once provided him with distraction and passion when his marriage to Summer was imploding? Will his jealousy over Holden Novak push him to hop on a plane and insert himself into Claire's Los Angeles adventure, setting the stage for more conflict? Or will he surprise everyone, including himself, by avoiding drama and going to therapy, beginning to address the cycles of mistakes that have haunted him for years? Each possibility carries weight, and each would open different story avenues for the young and the restless. Path 1. Falling back into Audra's orbit. When analyzing Kyle's romantic history, one pattern emerges loud and clear. When things fall apart, he looks for immediate gratification rather than long-term healing. As a result, Kyle's decision to rekindle his relationship with Audra seems like the most predictable and potentially explosive option. Fans can't ignore Kyle and Audra's undeniable chemistry. Their interactions are rarely calm. Instead, they're filled with snappy dialogue, heated stares, and thinly veiled attraction. Years ago, when Summer betrayed Kyle's trust by concealing Phyllis's faked death, Kyle didn't just sulk or retreat into himself. Audra, a woman who thrives on chaos, secrecy, and power, was his immediate target. At the time, their fling was not about love. Rather, it was about anger, lust, and Kyle's desperate need to feel wanted after his wife let him down. Fast forward to today, and history threatens to repeat itself. Claire's rejection has left Kyle raw, confused, and angry. He believed he had found someone steady, someone who could help him move past the wreckage of his marriage to Summer and the messy rebound with Audra. Claire represented something wholesome and new, but she has made it clear she needs independence, not another entanglement. The attraction to someone like Audra might be impossible to resist for a man like Kyle, who despises feeling powerless. Audra has been returning to him, albeit frequently in the form of arguments and confrontations. Soap fans know that in this genre, fiery fights often mask deep attraction. Every time Kyle and Audra spar, there's an undercurrent of energy that suggests the two are moments away from either strangling each other or kissing passionately. If Kyle gives in to weakness, it won't just be about seeking sex, it will be about trying to numb the pain of rejection with the one woman who understands his darker impulses. The problem, of course, is that Audra is never just a casual rebound. She plays to win. If Kyle slips into her bed again, he may find himself entangled in her schemes before he even realizes what's happening. Audra has ambitions that go beyond relationships, and she has proven that she's willing to use men's vulnerabilities to her advantage. A reunion between Kyle and Audra could spell disaster for his already fragile sense of self, and it could create a domino effect for his family, who already distrust Audra. Jack and Diane would likely disapprove, and even Summer could be drawn back into the drama, furious to see her ex-husband tangled up with a woman who thrives on manipulation. In short, turning to Audra is the road of least resistance for Kyle, an immediate way to fill the void left by Claire. However, it is also the path that has the potential to end up in his face the quickest, luring him back into harmful behaviors and separating him from the very people who care about him the most. Path 2. Los Angeles's jealousy and recklessness. Kyle's fiery temper and protective instincts may clash with Claire's desire for independence, which is another highly likely reaction. When it comes to the people he cares about, Kyle has always struggled with respecting boundaries. Because he insists on controlling the situation rather than trusting others to make their own decisions, his desire to be the fixer frequently gets him into trouble. Holden Novak, Claire's new friend in Los Angeles, represents everything Kyle despises: competition, uncertainty, and a potential threat to the fragile bond he was trying to build with Claire. Even though Claire has made it abundantly clear that she wants to pursue her own interests without Kyle's interference, Kyle's insecurity may prevail over reason. It wouldn't be out of character for him to impulsively hop on a plane, chasing Claire across the country under the guise of protecting her. The problem with such a move is obvious. Instead of looking noble or supportive, Kyle would come across as overbearing and possessive. Claire has stated explicitly that she wants to grow on her own, and Kyle barging into her journey would confirm her fears that he cannot separate love from control. Instead of winning her back, he would drive her further away, possibly even cementing Holden's place in her life by making himself look like the unstable ex-boyfriend. From a dramatic perspective, though, this storyline would be rich with conflict. Imagine Kyle showing up uninvited in Los Angeles, confronting Holden, and making a scene that embarrasses Claire in front of her new colleagues or friends. The repercussions could spread all the way back to Genoa City, with Victor Newman intervening to shield Claire from what he perceives as Kyle's harmful influence and Jack and Diane horrified by their son's actions. This could ignite a new round of Newman-Abbott clashes, something the soap has always thrived on. Kyle's impulsive trip to LA would also mirror Adam Newman's infamous decision to fly to France years ago. However, Kyle's trip would be portrayed as self-centered and naive, whereas Adam's trip would be portrayed as heroic. The contrast would emphasize Kyle's inexperience and prepare him for severe repercussions. In the end, this route would show Kyle at his most naive, a man who acts out of fear of losing someone, even if it means losing them forever. It would be difficult to watch, but its intensity is typical of soap operas. Path 3. Seeking growth through therapy. The third possible reaction is the most surprising, the most mature, and perhaps the most dramatically rewarding in the long run. Kyle could finally stop chasing women, stop reacting impulsively, and start doing the hard work of self-reflection. Kyle has been noted by fans for a long time for going through relationships without ever pausing to consider why they fail. His marriage to Summer was destroyed by secrets and mistrust. His fling with Audra was driven by anger. His romance with Claire has now ended because he hasn't yet figured out how to support a partner without smothering them. The fact that Kyle does not fully comprehend himself is the recurring theme. He is only rarely seen as Kyle as an individual because of his roles as Jack Abbott's son, husband, and father to Harrison. Therapy could change that. If the writers let Kyle go on a self-discovery journey, it would give him a chance to figure out why he keeps doing bad things. It would also allow his portrayer, Michael Miller, to dig into rich emotional material, showing a vulnerable, broken side of Kyle that fans rarely see. Scenes of him sitting across from a therapist, opening up about his insecurities, his fear of abandonment, and his impulsive mistakes could be some of the most powerful in his storyline. Jack and Diane would be overjoyed to see their son finally take charge of his development. They have watched him make mistake after mistake, often cleaning up the mess in the aftermath. They might, for the first time, be there for him as he chooses peace over chaos. Even Summer, Claire, and Audra could eventually benefit from a more self-aware Kyle who isn't driven purely by anger or jealousy. From a soap writing perspective, therapy doesn't have to be boring. It can be woven into storylines by revealing deep family secrets, forcing Kyle to confront unresolved childhood wounds, and even giving him breakthroughs that affect his choices in business and love. The best soaps know how to balance romance and self-discovery, and giving Kyle a path of growth could open doors for fresh, grounded storytelling. Most importantly, this choice would show that Kyle is capable of breaking the cycle. He wouldn't, for the first time, dive into another woman's arms or board another plane. Instead, he'd sit with his pain, learn from it, and find healthier ways to move forward. That kind of development could change not only his personal life but also how viewers perceive him as a character. Conclusion: which path will Kyle take? Kyle's breakup with Claire is more than just another failed romance on The Young and the Restless. His next chapter could be defined by this pivotal moment. The writers have three compelling options: either bring him back into Audra's perilous embrace, send him spiraling into reckless jealousy by chasing Claire to Los Angeles, or surprise viewers with a storyline about growth through therapy. Each option carries unique dramatic potential. Fans will experience fireworks, passion, and plenty of scandal if he returns to Audra. If he follows Claire to LA, the story will explode into Newman vs. Abbott drama, with Kyle painted as unstable and possessive. But if he chooses therapy, the show could finally evolve Kyle beyond his patterns and give him the chance to become a richer, more layered character. The question isn't just what Kyle will do next, it's what kind of man he wants to become. Will he remain the impulsive playboy, doomed to repeat mistakes? Or will he rise above heartbreak and chart a healthier course? Whatever the case may be, one thing is for certain: Kyle Abbott's story is far from over, and whatever he does next will have repercussions that are felt all over Genoa City.